Carbon credits are portrayed as a tool to help make polluting industries cleaner. But now it seems they've also provided an opportunity for €1 billion fraud. The alleged scheme includes carbon credits from Germany and oil fields in China. DW investigations, together with the German public broadcaster ZDF, reveal how German authorities were tricked.
It all started with a tip-off. A Chinese company had developed environmental projects at oil fields in China that were supposed to save millions of tons of carbon emissions. In reality, an insider told us, they were part of a €1 billion fraud.
Setting up a real project costs tens of millions, whereas faking a project just purely on paper, like out of thin air, you only need to forge a basket of new documents and you gain hundreds of millions of euros in return.
The projects were submitted under a German scheme, allowing companies here to meet their emission targets by investing in carbon-saving projects abroad. In the months-long investigation, DW and its partner ZDF acquired thousands of pages of project documents and compared them with satellite images and photos. We found 16 projects which should not have been eligible under the German scheme because they were not building something new. Take this project in China's Xinjiang region. The station collects gas that would otherwise be released during oil extraction, saving more than 120,000 tons of carbon emissions a year. The application lists the planned project start date as September 2020. But satellite images from 2019 show that the plant was already there. The 4 LNG tanks are clearly visible. Truck tracks and the security flare suggest that the site was in fact operational more than 1 year before the application in Germany was filed.
This project should never have been approved. It's not acceptable for the plant to already exist before the application was submitted.
And yet, Germany's environmental agency green-lighted it, as well as 65 other projects in China. Their total market value is an estimated €2 billion. The agency's president, Dirk Messner, told us that none of its employees ever visited any of the projects in China. They relied on the audits conducted by private companies.
We only have 3 colleagues at the Federal Environment Agency who deal with all of these projects. They can't check the technical data in any detail, and they can't check satellite images either.
We cannot say for sure whether the auditing companies were in on the fraud. But what we did find were many inconsistencies in their reports. Take this project, which was supposedly visited by auditors 7 times. In their reports, they confirmed that the installation consisted of 6 big storage tanks and 12 generators. But satellite images and photos we acquired only ever show 4 tanks and 4 generators.
It's very unlikely the inspector was on site. These tanks can't be missed.
So the inspectors didn't do their job?
Absolutely not, or even worse, the audit firm should be suspended. If elements within these companies should have become part of the deception, that would be a worst-case scenario.
The German Environment Agency has placed 45 projects under suspicion and says it is now working to rescind as many of the credits as possible. The program was closed to new applications. The full damage has yet to emerge. One thing, however, is already abundantly clear. It didn't take a lot to defraud a system that was supposed to make a dirty industry a little cleaner.
And with me now is Mathias Bölinger from DW's investigative team and our former China correspondent. Mathias, you were part of this investigation, weren't you? So clarify for us, first of all, who is behind this alleged fraud? So who is actually deceiving the German state here?
So what we found in the documents, although they, on the first glimpse, seemed to have been filed by different companies with different projects, that there was one Chinese company behind all of them. It's a company based in Beijing. They specialize on carbon credits and on consulting companies who want to reduce their carbon footprint. Their founder, which is also interesting, is a former official who has been working in the energy policy sector. And this company seems to have basically made up all these documents and filed them here in Germany.
So is it fair to say that the German authorities didn't at all do their due diligence here?
That's one of the, of course, allegations towards the German authorities. They have approved lots of projects from just one company, from a country which is not a major oil producer. Now, this is just... These eligible projects have to be at oil wells, so it's already a bit suspicious that so many of them came from China and all filed by one company. So yes, but the real focus is on the auditing companies, private companies, on whose audits these decisions were based. And there are allegations that they might have colluded with Beijing Carbon. That we have no proof for that, but what we can say for sure is that they have not done their job. They have gone to these sites and they have not seen what they were supposed to see there.
And now that all of this has come to light, is anything actually going to change? I mean, in the way that the German government approves schemes like this?
The authority in charge is trying to rescind these carbon credits. There are questions around that because some of them have already been resold, etc. So all the judicial aspects are still being evaluated. And there is an announcement today, confronted with our investigation. A spokesperson has said that they were working towards a law that would mandate German inspectors, government inspectors, to visit all this kind of project in different countries. I'm not sure whether this is possible. Honestly, I don't see the Chinese government allowing German inspectors to roam around China and inspect this kind of project. So I think we'll see what comes out of that. The question remains very difficult, and this kind of program that is certified in one country, whereas the offsetting is happening somewhere in a completely different setting in a completely different country. This is, of course, something that will have to be revisited. This program has now been stopped.
OK, so no guarantees that anything will change, is what you're saying. The fraudulent credits were worth about €1 billion, weren't they? Where has this money gone?
So, from what we could find out, the companies who bought these credits dealt with this company in Beijing, Beijing Carbon, and they seem to have wired the money to their bank account, a Hong Kong bank account. We do not, of course, know who else had their shares in that, and etc., how much money went from there to others. But it seems that all the money has, first and foremost, been collected by this one company.
Just very briefly, carbon trading is often seen as a cop-out, isn't it, for big polluters? Is this investigation going to make people trust this even less?
As one of the people we talked to has said, this is not discounted bacon. It's not something you can touch. It relies on the trust that this carbon reduction is really happening. If that trust is gone, of course, that will have grave repercussions for the markets.
DW's Mathias Bölinger, and you can find the investigation, can't you, on DW's YouTube channel, Planet A.